Well, hi, and thank you for joining me here in my shop. So I'm going to be trying a alignment check here on this radio now that I think it's all aligned pretty well by using a different technique from what I used before. Instead of relying on an indicating meter and output from the speaker and the like and a single frequency, I'm going to try to sweep through the radio bands starting with the IF first and try to get an image of the shape of the response curve onto my scope here. So I've had varying success with doing this. Probably just a lack of experience on my part. I've tried this 10-12 times now, probably having 60-70% success with it, something like that. So let's see how this goes with this guy. So the whole idea here is, instead of feeding a signal frequency into the radio, I'm going to feed a range. It's going to sweep up from just below the IF frequency of 455 to just above it, and capturing the response of the IF. That's my plan. I think I'm actually going from 400 to 600. No, 600 is a little high. Let's try 500. So I'm going from 400 to 500. In the middle is 455, the IF resonant frequency. Now, where to feed in the signal? That's an interesting question. So let me spin this around here. Okay, everything's a little tight. So the place to feed in the signal to just push the signal through the IF is into what this radio calls the first detector. Normally that's called a mixer tube or something like that. It's not commonly called a detector anymore. This is the tube. I put it up on an extender. Thank you again for sending me this extender, Mr. Viewer. And I'm going to be feeding the signal into the grid of that tube from the sweep generator, which is sitting back here, and the sweep generator frequency is read out on this display. Then when the signal comes out, okay, it comes out of the IF, it's heading for the speaker, and I want to grab it before it gets to the speaker and put it on my oscilloscope. So I have ready, at the ready, let's spin it around here, like that. So this is the scope lead here. Just to show you that, I'll just flip back to the scope for a moment. There's my finger tapping the lead. So this guy wants to see the signal where it comes out of the. Well, you know what? I'm going to put the I'm going to put this up on the screen here so we can look at it together here. Okay, so here's the schematic for the radio, and if you look long enough, you'll find this note here. Oscillograph. Oh my gosh, I don't have an oscillograph. What am I going to do? Your oscillograph connections. Vertical high to this terminal right here. Vertical low to the chassis. So that's what I've done. This terminal here, well, this is an interesting spot. You see, what they've done is they've picked a spot out of the this is the real detector. This is the second detector where the audio is getting split from the RF. And this detector is a rectifier producing a negative DC voltage the way they have it wired. That negative DC voltage is useful, and just throw it away. At this point, the negative DC voltage is, I don't want to say sent off, but finds its way through this resistor into this very high impedance circuit over here, where it affects the grid potentials and operates the AVC. This is really just the output of the IF after being rectified. That's where they want you to hook it up. But look, this wire keeps going. It goes down here. Now this is part of the push buttons that I have currently sitting right on top of the radio. This is push button, well, it would look like push button 1 from our point of view, even though it's called 6. Looks like 1. So the signal I'm after for this connection is actually up on top of the radio in the push button switches. And then it heads out of there to the top of the volume control. That's my favorite place to pick up the signal, is top of the volume control. So electrically, this point is the same as this point. This is a lot easier to find. This is tough to find in the radio. Really quite tough. So what I've done is I've reached under the radio and I've connected a clip lead, which is hanging down below the radio right now, for me to make a connection to it. I could probably find a place up here and really not even have to go underneath the cabinet. You could actually do this with this radio sitting in its cabinet, I believe. You don't have to get under the chassis. Anyway, that's what I've done. And then down here, whoops, down here on this tube, the one that's up on the extender, I'm going to be clipping onto this terminal, which is terminal number 8 on the tube. I'll be feeding the signal in here and listening to it coming out here. Basically, that's what we're doing. So it's just going through here, through these two tuned transformers. Okay, I've really convinced myself I know what I'm doing here. Now I'm going to pop the camera view of my oscilloscope onto the screen here. I think, where should I put it? Has anybody got any good ideas of where it should go? Top right's going to block some things. Bottom right, yeah, maybe I'm going to go top left. Let's go top left here. I kind of apologize for doing this live, but do it here, here, and there it should be. There we are. Okay, so you can see the scope now. Let's see, I can just elevate this a little bit. So you should be able to see, oh, you know what? I've got this set up so you can see the signal generator, but I'm not using that one. I'm using the one up here. Here's the clip lead that's hanging out from the connection to the top of the volume control. And that's to the scope. I should really have these connected. Whoops. Really have these connected together. I want to start the radio just as it is. There's essentially nothing going on here except let's see. Tube is on an extender. Oh, there is something going on. I already have the here he comes. I'm just going to disconnect the sweep connection here. Okay, so the radio is just sitting here by its... Yes, sir. What is it? Just when I'm getting ready to go, guess who shows up? Yes, it's you, once again. I know. What do you think? I think he's looking at himself up on that TV screen right now. He said, "Who's that cat?" "That's you." I know. What's out there? What's out there you want me to go see? I know what it is. We have this petting routine in the morning. I actually go in my shower stall. He comes in there, and in the shower stall, I pet the heck out of him. Isn't that right? You want that to happen? I'm going to have to go do that because he's just going to sit there and wait for me. Bored, are you? Okay, so I'm just going to stop for a moment. It's okay, I'll let the radio... You know what I can do? I'll turn the radio on here. I'll let it warm up while I'm giving my cat a big pet. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, just hang on, okay? Volume down. We're on band A, not on push buttons. On band A for sure. Ready here? There we go with dim lights. Looking good. Everything looking fine. Full. Full meow. Minimum volume, but we still hear it. Notice the pointer is bent. It's not, I don't think it's straight. Oh, you can really see it in the camera. Definitely, it looks bent. That's going to cause alignment problems. I hear a voice there. Very good. Okay, radio's working. Still have the volume right down. And I gotta go and attend to my kitty while the radio warms up and stabilizes. Okay, I think my cat's happy now. Again, I wish I could turn this down a bit. Maybe I'll just put the speaker flat. Oops. Whoops. Put the speaker flat there, and maybe it'll quiet it down a little bit. So one thing, just before I get going, I just wanted to take a look at the eye. We really haven't looked at it yet, but I've certainly noticed what it does. Now we're tuned into a strong noise signal here, so as far as the radio is concerned, we're picking something up. I'm just going to tune back and forth through it and just watch how the eye operates here. Now I've seen this kind of thing before, where it, instead of producing a nice green glow, it produces sharp edges. And that's about all. It's still usable. It's perfectly usable. And I'm here in fairly bright light. I can see it. So in terms of this being a really bad eye, well, it kind of is, but it kind of isn't at the same time. So that's why I really haven't been talking much about this. I don't think I'm going to do anything about it at all. Although, is this indicative of some kind of simple problem inside? It could be. So forget what I just said. I'll probably spend a little bit of time looking into trying to get this to work a little bit better, in case it's just a bad voltage there or something of that sort. So now what we want to do is hook up the scope to see what's coming out of this. Here we go. Okay, so there it is. Do you believe me? Sure, you can believe me. Volume won't do anything. Volume's after the fact. Tuning though. Is that normal? Huh. You see it cut off like that? I mean, this is a signal going through a detector. What to make of that? Top, balanced, bottom. I don't know about what I'm seeing on the scope there. Okay, let's carry on, because I don't know. I admittedly don't know. So now we'll hook up the signal generator. At that point, the radio should become quiet. According to my thinking, we want this to go on pin number 8. Pin number 8 is there. Quiet. Finally. Thank you. Okay, enough of that chugging sound. So I'm now ready to pass the output of the sweep generator. Oh, son of a gun, don't do that. This thing's sticking up here. Sweep generator through the IF to see the result on here. Here we go. First, very slow at 10-second sweep. Very, very low level signal. Let's raise it up. This is all about what's on the scope. I found in the past I pretty much have to boost this guy to his maximum. Can you see my nice array of buttons here? Thank you again for you who sent me the buttons. I got more cracking here, so I'll be putting more of them on soon. Up we go. Okay, we still see no result on the scope, so now I've got this thing basically wide open here as I turn it up. Well, there's something there. Oh, of course I'm going at, it's sweeping once every 10 seconds, so that's not going to help me here. Let's speed it up. Okay, now it's sweep every 10 milliseconds, so it's really roaring through there. Wow, it's not showing at all what I had expected. And we're off to a really good start. Oh, I know what's wrong. Totally wrong. That's a little better. That's even better. So what was wrong there was I didn't have the sweep generators sweeping the scope. Now, why does it look like that? Well, I'm supposed to answer that question. Is it not sweeping through 450? Sure it is. You know what? It isn't. It's sweet. Oh, okay, let's try this. That's a little better, eh? So I had it sweeping through 400 hertz instead of 400 kilohertz. So now we got it sweeping properly. Thumbs up on that. Excellent. So what we're interested in is the, let me turn it down a little bit. Okay. So we're interested in the shape of this curve here. And that really looks good to me. Now we could try to assess the frequency at this point in a couple of ways. I could send another signal in and measure this point. I can set up the sweep with enough precision that we can tell what frequency that point is at. Why don't we try that? I'll just use the sweep generator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten the sweep down onto here. I'm going to start the sweep sooner and end the sweep sooner, and that will in the end drag this thing out bigger and bigger. So I have to do this with some precision. So we'll stop the sweep. We'll make the start frequency for, let's see, 455 is where the peak is. So how about 445? So we'll put this up to 445. So I'm watching these numbers now. 440. So it's starting at 445. Okay, and it's going to stop at 45, 55, 65. We'll make it 465. So we'll go 465. Now if I've got this precise, now this isn't quite right. I want to get 455 dead center. So to get so we start at 440. Hold on, I got an starting at 445. Let's start at 440. Why? I don't know. I like the zeros. So 440 is 15 below 455. Go 15 above 470. So we want to stop at 470. 470. Everybody getting this? Oh, I'm getting it. Very precisely. Okay, that's pretty much 470. Here we go. Sweeping now. See if you shape. It's not quite a perfect shape, is it? It might have something to do with the non-logarithmic display here, maybe. So I don't think I want to fiddle with that. But now, the next thing I got to do is I have to make sure the sweep is centered here perfectly. It's pretty close already. So I don't know what this little blip is. I'm going to ignore that as a nothingness. So it looks like if I did this absolutely precisely, 455 would be dead center. And it looks like we're just below it. 454, 453, something like that. Okay, another way of doing this, checking it. Stop the sweep. Dial this up to 455 here, and you watch the scope. It will. Well, this isn't the I can't do this precise enough. So I'm watching the scope dot, watching it to go up. It's a little more sensitive. And move it over a little bit too. I'm trying to set the sweep. It's not sweeping anymore. It's now a single frequency signal generator. Maybe if I put this on DC, put this like this, now we'll watch the DC voltage coming from the detector as I go across. That's a little better. Let me set this again. We're on one. There we are. So I just want this to be down at its maximum point. So we're basically we're tracing the curve back and forth. So I get right at the bottom here. So that's the center of the IF, and we look up here, 454.1. Yeah, we're not going to get it any closer than that. I mean, everything is good here. So sweeping through the IF has revealed the radio's tuning is good. No surprise. Next step will be to sweep through the entire radio now using a radio signal. We'll do it with the AM band, and I can do it with a direct connection to the antenna, or let's try that first. Okay, so volume is down. It's going to get noisy when I remove this. I'll put it over here. Oh, I just pushed the volume harder and I actually got it to turn down. So we want this sweeping again here. Well, actually, no. I want to set this now to sweep through the entire AM band. I think so. Let's try that. So we need to set this to the bottom of the AM band, 500. Let's set it to 500. Just below the start of the band, 500. Starting at 500. It doesn't have to be precise. Well, that's pretty precise. Starting at 500. Stopping at. Wait. Oh, we can't. Oh. Got to do the whole thing again. Starting at 500. Okay, I can only go down to 533. That's good enough though. Stopping at 1600. 1600 plus, but actually 1596. Let's go this way. 1650, about 1650. Sweep, go. We already see something on our display here. Let me center this. Now as I tune the radio, this should move back and forth across the screen. Oh, here we go. Tuning. There it goes. Let me put this over to AC here so we won't get the AVC bounce. That's an interesting question. What's going on here exactly? Does it fade? Why does it fade out there? Like, why would it fade out? I expect the peak to just go right across continuously. So my guess is this. The signal coming into the radio from the sweep generator is very, very low. If I tune to part of the band where it's quiet, the radio's AVC relaxes, the radio's sensitivity increases, and disappears. It's a little stronger than the general noise. If I tune to a place where it's more noisy, the radio now, as far as it's concerned, it's picking up a signal. Even though you and I know it's noise, it thinks it's a signal. It's rectifying it. AVC is coming on, and the radio's sensitivity is being knocked way back. And that peak is in there. It's just become so small we can't see it anymore. So basically, this is, when you're fighting all this noise. The buzzing sound is the sound of the sweeping through the IF at every 10 milliseconds. Whatever frequency that actually works out to, I don't know, 100 hertz? I don't know what it is. That's what we're hearing. Sounds like about 200 or 150. hertz. I guess we could calculate that out. So not a very good test here because we're just picking up too much stuff. I'm doing this with the loop antenna. You can see the loop antenna is plugged in. That's where probably all this noise is being picked up. See, you think that's a real quiet spot there, but watch, I'll put this on DC. And you'll see now the position of this, it relates to the ABC voltage. See how it's down here? So this is a signal, and that's why the radio's gotten quiet. It's not that this is a quiet spot. In fact, this is quite the opposite. This is a noisy spot on the band. Put this up right here. See a little better. I'll go right across the band now. So you can see what would happen then if I go back here. Let's say, now remember this signal is present everywhere across the band, but it will only be sent to the speaker and my scope if it's present where the radio is tuned. Why isn't it showing up? Same thing again. There's so much noise here. This is the quiet area. I could disable the ABC. Can also increase the output of my my guy here. Now he probably won't. It's still disappearing. Let's go a little higher here. Okay. Now you know who's boss. Okay, I can't make my scope any less sensitive than it is. To me, this gap here is getting wider down here than it is up here. But then this is a maybe this should be shown logarithmically for it to look linear in these areas. Just like just like the radio dial itself, where the numbers are spread over here and then they're crammed up in this area. So what are we finding out here? Okay, we're going to tune to there. What frequency is that? I'm going to reduce the volume here a little bit. There. I'll just leave it quiet. So I'm going to close the sweep in. Instead of sweeping the whole band, I'm going to close it right in around the frequency that we're actually sweeping. And you know, an easy thing I can do here, set this almost anywhere. Let's set it for around 900. Let's say 900. So we're going to sweep right around 900. 900, hey? So we would start, let's say 8. Around 875. Is this thing sweeping? What's going on? Yeah, right. Okay, hold on. Got this all messed up. We want to start around 875, 850, and we'll go to 950. That makes sense. Stop at 950. I don't know if I can get there. Yeah, 950. Here we go. So it's just sweeping right across 900 basically. Then we got to tune the radio to 900. Okay, let's get it going. It's sweeping. I don't see anything on the scope because the radio is not tuned to 900. It's got to be close though. Let's see. There it is. It's really interesting, isn't it? You see how as I increase the signal output of the generator, the detector rectifies more and more of the signal, produces more and more AVC, quiets down the radio. What you see on the scope is these noise things disappearing. I'll turn it up again. The only reason they're disappearing is because it's as if the volume's being adjusted for them. So we look at the shape of this. I don't see anything to be upset about. Tune the radio some more. Now what's happening right here? There's an awful lot of noise right in this spot. Let me kill the sweep for a sec. Not noise, there's some kind of signal that is being detected and rectified. Let's check out the AVC here again. Oh, we got it going. Hey, where you going, man? Come back. Something else interesting about this, compare the signal level to the AVC level. Let me get this across here again. Well, maybe not. So I'm not sure what's going on right in this spot now. Well, that's a little quieter, isn't it? But I may have disconnected this right off the... Hey man, where'd you go? That's weird. It shot right to the top. Maybe it's not weird. It's just me. There it is. So I think in maybe opening up that... Let me get a much cleaner look here. Let me just put this... Wow, okay. Oh, really got... So I got rid of all the noise that's been driving us nuts there. So this is sweeping from like 950 to 850, I think it was. 900 in the middle. Well, I don't know. It looks just great to me. I'm not sure what it is I would do. I think we're at the end of the road. I could try another band. Well, I can't really, unfortunately. The sweep generator is limited in its frequency. It just doesn't put out high enough frequency to start doing the shortwave bands. I think we're at the end of the road here. Great. Okay, so that reassures me that everything is working just fine in this radio. Even if it's not true, I am reassured. So from here, the radio is going to go back in its cabinet. Everything's going to be hooked up the way it should be in the cabinet. Go through one more time, check it out, make sure it's working well. And then the last thing is an evening test with some shortwave radio. Oh my God, the shortwave radio is so dead these days. Oh my gosh. Well, we can try it anyway and see what we can get, what we can manage to get here. There we are. Very soon. Great. Oh, by the way, of course it's Christmas time here, just like it is where you are. So I'm liable to not post videos or post them sporadically for the next week or two. There we go. So, thanks a lot for watching. Next one, we'll see what this guy looks like back in his cabinet.